What I have is a belt buckle pistol.
I'm ready to see this thing working.
Okay, so...
Getting excited yet?
I am excited.
Well, there's not a whole lot out there to compare it to, but because it's antique, because it's from about 1890. 1, 2. If it still wasn't dead or it started to run away, I really like it. It's unique, it's beautiful. It comes from London, not from Germany. I mean, it has a lot going for it. You're not gonna see another one anytime soon.
This man walks into the shop and meets Rick with a bizarre-looking item in hand. Imagine combining a sword and a pistol into one weapon. Intrigued, Rick immediately calls Alex to examine it. Let's hear what the expert has to say.
This looks like it was just a showpiece, but could it have ever been used as a weapon?
So it was strictly for hunting. This wasn't a combat type. Royalty, landed gentry, they'd go out in the woods, they would shoot at boar, they'd injure them.
It turns out this piece was used for hunting, not just for any game, but for wild boars. This expert sure has a lot to say about this piece. He focuses more on the design.
And this gun maker, Philip van de Vees, who was originally Dutch, moved to London and started making high-end firearms. And you can see, I mean, it is gorgeous. In its day...
So what does a super fancy Hirschfanger go for?
What else does he notice? Before Rick can negotiate with the seller about this item, knowing if it shoots is essential. After all, a sword and a pistol combination needs to prove its worth in action.
The pistol works. We know that it wasn't a costume piece, that it was really made as a purpose-built tool. Then I'll be able to value it for you.
Now, how much again are you asking for this?
I'm thinking 20,000.
Okay, let's see if this shoots. That's half the fun from being out here.
Correct.
Now this is cool. The expert claims that given the weapon's age, it might have some problems when fired, but he still wants to test it out anyway.
So it takes up the space inside the barrel. Okay, we're ready.
All right.
So the idea is that is an injured wild boar. I'm gonna finish it off, put it out of its misery, so you'd stab it a couple of times in the neck.
This tiny piece sure packs a punch. Now that everyone's curiosity is satisfied, it's time to know the value.
What do you think this thing is worth?
I really like it. It's unique, it's beautiful. It comes from London, not from Germany. The silver grip with the negative space. I mean, it has a lot going for it. You're not gonna see another one anytime soon.
Okay, the expert appraises the weapon. Stay hooked to see if the boys will negotiate.
Well, that would make absolutely no sense to me. 7?
I'll go 1050.
There's no money at that. I mean, I'll go 7,500 bucks. That'd be like it.
Another man enters the pawn shop to sell his belt pistol. Chum is immediately excited to see this item.
This was the concealed gun of all concealed guns, I
Right.
guess. It looks like this is the trigger right here.
Right.
A lot of the times what would happen is you would have a string tied to here and would run up through your arm.
This item has been in his family for years, and now he wants to sell his family heirloom. Meanwhile, Chum doesn't have an idea about the item's collectability.
Not sure how collectible this gun would be because it is hard to figure out who made it, but I do know there is a market for this kind of stuff. So what would you like to do with it?
I want to sell it.
How much are you looking for?
I'd like to have $500.
That's going to be a problem. He finally agrees to bring Alex, an expert in firearms, to have a look. What Alex says might be shocking. He describes the piece as dangerous, but why?
Well, those were dangerous times back then.
Yeah. What's interesting about this is that the entire firing mechanism is contained behind this back plate here. And the trigger down here, it's got a loop through it.
Oh boy, the expert wants to ensure he analyzes every aspect of this buckle belt pistol. The expert took the pleasure of enlightening us more about this piece. Now he's clueless about the caliber of this gun. According to him, caliber can affect the price in a good or bad way.
Barrel is. I'm wondering, that is a standard caliber for the time, or if it's just a homemade piece of pipe.
If it's a correct caliber of the time, would that make it more valuable than say if it was just a piece of pipe?
Yes, reason of that.
The stakes are high. He goes in to check it out. Hopefully he gets the answers we need. Now that we are certain about what we are dealing with, he further reveals that it isn't actually a homemade piece.
As long as you're the one strapping it on, I'm all for it. Would you be willing to meet us down at the range with this?
I can do that.
Sounds good. We'll see you down at the range and take a look around and hopefully you enjoy your time.
Thanks a lot.
All right, before Chum and this seller can come to a conclusion, the expert suggests that this pistol be tested. Chum declines the opportunity of testing it out himself. He prefers the expert do so.
So I brought some supplies. I have black powder. I have 36 round lead balls.
Okay, let's check it out. I'm eager to know how it's being used and how well it fires. Now that it has been settled, Chum can safely move on to the price.
Well, There's not a whole lot out there to compare it, but because it's antique, because it's from about 1890, I think there is a collector's value to it. I could see it selling between $3,000 and $4,000.
All right, both gentlemen are ready to bring in their bargaining skills to the table. I hope Chum makes Rick proud.
About 1,500.
We'll split the difference at 2,000.
Maybe like 17 is probably the max I could do. I mean, it's really cool, but it is a very niche collector's market.
Arlen walks in with a Civil War item. He goes to the counter to show Rick this pistol. It's surprising that Rick actually believes that it is a very rare item. This gun collector is pretty certain about the authenticity of this revolver.
And they were having lots and lots of troubles with the guns. They didn't get delivered, and the whole operation more or less fell apart and folded, and then one of the partners went in and took some of the parts, put them back together.
If he says so. Rick goes in with the stories. He sure knows how to enlighten us about any item brought to the pawn shop. He reveals how the guns were produced and how the state of Texas played a role in this. However, Rick is more concerned about the casting on the gun. He fears the gun might be a fake.
The casting came out terrible right here. Was there any paperwork or anything with this?
No, sir, but the fact that this one has no rifling leads me to believe that it was one of the ones that was put together from those parts like you're talking about.
Damn. Anyways, Arlen wants to sell his gun for $40,000. Is that really feasible for Rick? Surprisingly, Rick seems interested in this piece. He goes on to bring a specialist to come verify the gun.
Wow. There's 11 known to exist. 4 have this etching, this design. The last one came to market.
Nice. The expert seems thrilled about this item and he analyzes it closely. It looks like there is an issue with the serial number. Does it affect the value? Let's find out.
The serial numbers of the etched ones were in the hundreds and 200 range. This is in the range of the known etched guns, which is really good.
Yikes. So sad that it might be what Arlen expected it to be. Rick doesn't want to have anything to do with this piece because the serial number has been tampered with.
And once that happens, you're not going to spend $80,000. Most collectors won't spend anything because they're too afraid to lose their investment.
I love stuff like this. I love crazy, weird history.
Here, Jim comes in with a flintlock pistol from the Revolutionary War era. This item was widely used during colonial America. The reason why Jim wants to see his dearest item is because of his wife. That's really sad.
It's got a lot of history to it. I think it's a really good gun.
So why are you trying to get rid of it?
Well, my wife is kind of pushing me for it. I love this gun. It's like been the cream of my collection, and it kills me to sell it.
Let's see how it goes. Jim goes further to show Corey the marking on the gun, but Rick is not sure if this is real or not. He suggests an expert come offer his expertise on the gun.
Okay.
If it is real, then I can definitely take it and we can probably work out a deal.
No problem.
All right, deal. I gotta make sure it's real. Before I make a deal, I gotta call somebody and find out. Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Hey, Corey. Good to see you again.
Cool. The expert wonders where he got this item from because the gun is too rare to be in his disposal. To make the situation risky, there is no paperwork authentication that the gun is genuine.
And but there was no paperwork with it.
Okay.
He didn't have it. It's a state sale, so.
Mind if I have a look? And
Please.
Well, this form of flintlock pistol was made by the British military in between the years about 1790 and 1820.
Are we going to rely on Jim's words? At least this expert knows it's worth it. And with the smirk on the seller's face, you would know the appraisal is in his favor. The expert goes on to check the condition of the gun.
Heavily pitted. This one you can tell what the markings are. There's no, apparent major pitting or damage or deterioration to, the metal or the wood. So I would classify this as a very good defined condition.
Does it check out? Oops. This item is a reproduction. That's crazy. What a disappointment. So he spent money on a fake item. Is Corey going to even make an offer?
How much is this thing worth?
Value would be about $75 to $100.
I paid $800 for it.
Sorry you got burned.
Yeah, so, okay, maybe the thing is a fake.
Paul decides to come to the shop to sell an item. I wonder what's inside that briefcase he carries. Let's check it out.
No, help yourself.
Do you know anything about these things?
Yeah, they're about 1700s.
Okay. Well, it looks like my son when he's mad.
I'm at the pawn shop to sell these breech-loading pistols.
2 pistols, nice. Rick goes ahead to give more details about the gun. He points out that the gun was loaded from the back. These pistols serve as a multi-purpose gun. Corey goes in to crack a joke classic Chumley's line.
He might as well just throw the gun at something.
Oh, wow.
He wouldn't be able to hit anything with any of these.
I have always been a better shot than you. Always will be.
Did you have them restored or anything like that?
I got it from my grandfather. He was a gun collector, and he took care of all of it.
Moving on. Rick brings in an expert to come check it out and talk about the value. He also has to check the labels to see if there is anything he could find.
All right, John Hurst. So now we definitely know that it was John who made them, not James, which actually means they're definitely 7. So, Rick, what do you want to know?
How much are they worth?
Okay, the expert is insistent that the gun gets tested to know if it fires well. He needs to establish that first before he can go ahead to place a price. Corey argues being a better shooter than his day.
You're a horrible shot.
I don't know why you...
I could load both of them. You could each have a shot.
Deflate your ego just a wee bit.
Thanks for showing up, guys. Setting up a competition for you.
Well, let's find out. The gun is now loaded. It's time to see the turnout. It seems like a showdown between Corey and Rick. Now it has been tested, let's hear the worth.
They shot great. Pistols are really well built. There was a similar pair about 3 years ago sold for $37,500 at auction. So I would value these at $35,000.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
All right, this is going to be a long day between Paul and Rick. Will they eventually strike a deal? Watch out.
Maybe I can put them in auction. Maybe I get the same price. Maybe I can't. Auctions cost money. I would give you 20 grand for them.
No, it's nowhere near enough. My grandfather gave them to me. 35,000 is my flat.
I mean, that's your rock bottom price?
Yeah, it's my rock bottom price. I was gonna sell them to start a business, so.
What does the seller bring to the shop? A gun concealed in a top hat. That's cool. What does Rick think about this item?
Ireland, went to the United States, became a U.S. citizen when he was a teenager, started claiming he was a doctor, had some surgery skills, and had a collection of uteruses in jars.
God, man.
He got in trouble, had to leave.
Rick seems pretty excited about it. He enlightens us about Francis Tumblety, the owner of this top hat. This seller wants $15,000 for this particular item. Before going further, let's have an expert down here.
Absolutely not, man. I'd like to get a little more information on this myself.
I'm gonna go give someone a phone call, and I'll be right back.
Cool.
So here's what I know about Tumble. Dress, in a really gaudy outfit.
Nice. The expert checks the tiny-looking pistol. Let's hear its worth. Remember that it'd be way more pricey if it belonged to Tumblety.
But based on the association with Dr. Francis Tumblety, I think you could probably get $10,000 for it. Good luck, Spencer.
Sounds good, my man.
I'll give you 5 grand.
Dude, you gotta step it up.
All right. Rick also needs to have this item tested to see if it really works. Now let's hear the final appraisal of this item.
All right, 9 grand.
Have a nice day.
Okay, it is now up to these two men to bargain the best price for themselves. I hope it goes well for them.
7,500.
$6,500. Any more, it's not worth it to me. I'll give you $6,500.
Cash. You know this is a good deal. This is gonna be great for you. It's gonna be awesome in the shop.
I'll give you $7,200.
All right, I'll let you win this time.
Chris comes in with one looking massive gun. How did he end up bringing it into the shop? This Bira gun has Rick really speechless.
I've actually seen one of these, but it's pretty amazing.
I think there are probably less than 25 around.
You can ask my wife and kids. I always have something to say, but I'm a little speechless at the moment.
Whoa. The craziest part about this is that the seller doesn't even know if it works or not. Rick volunteers to have the inside open up to see the interiors. Chris is asking $30,000. Is it worth it?
$30,000. Well, that is a figure I have no idea on. I just want him to look at this thing, confirm it's old enough for me to buy it, because if this thing is, post 1899 or newer.
That's definitely huge. Anyways, Rick needs to consult his buddy about this gun. Mark is here, and he reveals that this was his first time seeing this item. He goes on to treat Rick's concerns.
But this was definitely made in 1896 or 97. If it's after 1898, I can't buy it legally.
Yes, they were only made in 1896 and 1897.
All right, sweet.
Those are the only 2 years that they were produced, so they're completely legal to own.
That's great. Rick wants to take this gun to the desert to see how it shoots. He arrives there and meets Alex. Alex goes in to explain better about this gun.
Is that Pan magazine. Now this Pan magazine holds 120 rounds of this ammunition, which I brought today. This is a Martini Henry ammunition. Look at the size of that round. It is tremendously unique, and I have never seen one fire.
Quite interesting. Mark is ready to have this shooting. He shoots this gun with all vigor, so is Rick. What a showpiece.
Perfectly. I think you could probably get $10,000 for it.
Thanks, man.
Hey. Good luck, Spencer.
Sounds good, my man.
All right, I'll give you 5 grand.
You gotta step it up. There's
All right,
no
5,100.
Now we're done here. Let's find out how these two duos go about with bargaining. Is Rick going home with this? Find out soon.
I'll give you 18 grand for it.
How about 26?
The fact of the matter is I gotta resell this thing, and 20,000 is the most I can do. It's the most I can pay and still make sense, plain and simple.
I can do 20,000.
Hector brings an ugly-looking gun to the pawn shop in hopes of selling it. It looks like a gun that underwent restoration. Hector is also clueless about this item. I would be happy if Rick had an idea.
1700s, early 1800s flintlock that someone thought it would be a good idea to vomit on.
I have an old pistol. I'm not too sure where it's from. It was passed down from my dad. I'm not too sure where he got it from.
Okay. Rick states that it is one ugly-looking piece. He wants to get someone to decipher what this item really is.
Let me see if there's just something he can do. Okay, give me a few minutes. I'm gonna give him a call.
All right.
Hey, what's up, Alex?
How you doing, Rick? No offense, that is ugly. So a flintlock pistol, one good thing is it's got what we would call like a grotesque mask.
The expert is here. Let's hear what he says. He points out that it is one broken item. But Rick is worried if it is still collectible.
Any collector value for this thing?
So you can see all this detail in inlay in the wood here is actually quite high quality. Unfortunately, the paint is so thick on the lock that usually these locks would have the gunmaker name on it.
Probably, however, before Rick can actually see the value of this item, he needs to get it restored. With that being said, will Rick take this pistol?
Once we restore it, if I can get it functional, I think it's at least $3,000.
All right, thanks, man. I'll let you know if I get it. I will give you 150 bucks and relieve you of your problem.
Would you do 250?
I'll give you 200 bucks. It's risky buying this. I mean,
Charles walks in with a long-looking rifle. He certainly doesn't have an idea of what he's about to sell to Rick. He hopes we'll be the best man to enlighten him more.
Yeah, it's in a weird category.
I'm here today to sell an antique rifle I got from one of my students.
I'm eager to hear from Rick. To be sure of what he's dealing with, Rick wants to have someone come examine the rifle. The expert is here, and he goes in to explain what it could actually be.
This is a Springfield Arms Company's attempt at a revolving rifle.
Didn't Colt have all the patents on that?
That's the very issue. There's a guy named James Warner, and he ran Springfield Arms Company. And in 1849, he released this gun.
Okay, interesting. This firearm is a dangerous one because of how it was designed. Regardless, we need to check it out to know if it works.
If we could fire it, you would know a lot more about the mechanics of the gun.
If I do buy this off you, I can get more money off it if I can actually say, yes, it fires, I have fired it. Can we go to the range? I mean, could you meet us there tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Is it safe enough? Yay! The expert claims that, with caution, it's safe to fire. Let's move down to the range to know the state of this rifle. Now that it's confirmed, let's see how it goes.
What do you think it would sell for? I mean, they're never on the market.
It's a $20,000 gun.
Okay, well, thanks, man.
All right.
So, yeah, 10 grand, no problem.
Well, how about we start at 20?
This man comes into the pawn shop with a Colt revolver. It's a high-profile tech gun, and also antique. Rick would be the best person to shed more light on the gun.
Incredible set of grips. We have a Federal Eagle here, twice as much money as any other comparable gun to it. This is the dream gun of every Colt collector. If you have ever seen a Western, you've seen this gun.
Right. Rick is tempted to have this, but he still needs to verify this gun. It's important to know if it is collectible or not. The seller presents a document showing the appraisal.
I took it in for $25,000. That's what they owe. That's what I'd like to get.
Okay, and they're saying obvious factory reversal of the numbers.
But we have to be on the safe side. He wants to bring a specialist to examine this revolver. He is here, and he goes down to the historical details attached to this gun.
Barrel, which was the standard cavalry length. The single-action army changed everything. I mean, this is the gun that won the West, also known as the Peacemaker, the Colt 45. I mean, this started it all.
Cool.
The grips are the thing that makes everybody go, wow.
That was helpful, but Rick is concerned about the serial number in the gun, and he's worried it might have some value effect on the gun. What does the expert say about it? Should Rick worry about it not? This expert wants to have this gun too.
I would still want it.
So we have an 1876 really fancy Colt.
You got a piece of magic here.
Okay, so what is this piece of magic worth?
I would say that at auction,
Obviously not possible. With what this expert appraised this time to be, the seller is shocked that it has much value. What a good day for him. I would be happy with the thought of going home with $40,000. Let's see what Rick's next move will be.
You give me $40,000, I walk out the door.
No, if at 40,000, you're walking out the door with the gun.
Even though you can sell this for 55, 60,000 here.
No, he says maybe.
35.
I go 26.
27,500, gun's yours.
We got a deal.
Great.
This man brings in an item to Rick, but he's not really sure of what he has in his possession. However, Rick wants to have an expert come down to the shop.
it
could be legitimate, but serial numbers have been tampered with. And once that happens, you're not going to spend $80,000. Most collectors won't spend anything because they're too afraid to lose their investment.
I love stuff like this. I love crazy, weird history.
Okay, he goes to explain what this kind of firearm is. Who would have thought of inventing a clutch gun? Insane.
But I either got to get rid of the gun or the wife. And
Oh man, some people would choose to get rid of the wife.
I've had her a long time. She's paid off.
Where'd you get it?
I got it at a gun shop. There was a seller there who had got it from a estate sale, and I was told that at the estate sale it had been in the family for generations.
Moving on, for the expert to know what he's dealing with, he suggests that it needs to be tested. Chum offers to be the guy to shoot this thing. I hope he doesn't mess up.
Holding it 300 years later. So this is yours, Jim?
Yeah, well, I got it at a gun show, and you know, the seller had bought it from an estate sale, and I was fortunate enough to get it.
Okay, and did he represent it as for provenance or anything like that?
Now, we know it fires. Let's hear this seller's final appraisal. This appraisal shocks the seller. It is worth far more than he expected. Let's hope everything works out for this duo.
You know, apparent major pitting or damage or deterioration to, you know, the metal or the wood. So I would classify this as a very good defined condition. Unfortunately, just right off the bat, I know that this is, unfortunately, a reproduction.
Okay, so how can you tell?
First of all, the markings were...
In this scene, Janet comes in with something out of the ordinary. A gun hidden in a desk is crazy. She doesn't have an idea about this.
Yeah, I just can't see this being a viable option for some.
All right, well, here's what I know. The lock got the Crown GR for King George. King George died in 1820, so that's period for sure.
But that cloth on there is...
Yeah, well, that's a machine stitch all the way across.
Oh, I would even question where she got this item from. She explained how she laid her hands on this item. Corey is also confused about this as well.
Right?
Nice. Sweet.
Here's the thing, this barrel is rifled, so if I was gonna make a movie prop, why would I bother putting a rifle barrel in? Rifling is a twist that's grooved into the inside of the barrel, and what it does is it takes a pistol ball and it spins it, sort of like a football spins on a spiral and goes straighter. So if you're gonna make a movie prop...
What's next? Even Rick is also confused because he doesn't have a clue either. I hope the expert he brings in will be of immense help.
The ankle, you have no idea that there was a piston there. You need only bring up your leg that far, boom.
Awesome.
Right?
Awesome.
Boom. And the pistol discharges. I can't answer that yet. You know, I gotta research it, and if it fires, that'll help the battle.
Hopefully, the expert goes in to give details about this. It might have been used as a prop, but he's not certain. The expert can't place his hands on what this gun desk was used for.
Just sort of point in the general direction and pull the lever and hope for the best.
Load up the leg.
I'm being conservative with this gun because I don't want an accident. A little bit of powder and a smaller ball. Little pressure, less of an accident. Lots of pressure, big accident.
All right, here we go.
You ready?
All right.
Unfortunately, it can't be a good buy. Rock needs to be sure of what he's purchasing, especially the legality of it. What a bad day for Janet.
So I'll let you go ahead and go.
All right, Rick.
All right. All right. Ready? Here we go. Got a flesh wound. I got a flesh wound.
Rick immediately places a call to Johnny, an expert in toys, to come look at what this seller brings in the shop. A Big Bang cannon. Is it collectible?
You would expect to see all the metal heavily pitted. This one you can tell what the markings are. There's no, apparent major pitting or damage or deterioration to, the metal or the wood. So I would classify this as a very good defined condition. Unfortunately, just right off the bat, I know that this is, unfortunately...
I don't know, but unfortunately, this item isn't that old. Rick is only a fan of antique items because items like this won't sell fast. Let's hear more from Rick.
You know, I paid $800 for this.
Sorry you got burned.
Yeah, so, okay, maybe the thing is a fake.
Yeah, man, unfortunately, this happens a lot. I mean, you gotta have something saying that it's real. I feel bad for the guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to lose that kind of money either, but I mean, he should have got the paperwork.
Sorry. Oh, boy.
Yikes, the customer's disappointment is palpable when he's offered just $100. Tough luck.
My wife was pissed when I bought this gun. Now she's really gonna kill me.